Are y'all ready to head off the trails? I'm the Cryptid Huntress, Jessica Jones, and I'm ready to take you on a mysterious journey right now. We welcome you to Off the Trails right here on the Spaced Out Radio's YouTube channel. If you guys haven't hit subscribe yet, please do. We would love to have you guys. And shout out to Bumblefoot for that awesome intro music. I always appreciate that. All right, you guys, please follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. You guys can find me at thecryptid-huntress.com, and I have amazing, awesome live shows every week, every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Y'all come hang out with me over at the Cryptid Huntress on YouTube. Also, I have a website if you guys would like to follow along with all of my shows and wherever I'm going to be, whatever I'm doing, all the public stuff. It's over on my website, thecryptid-huntress.com, and you guys can get in touch with me over there that way if you need me. Also, I have a shop that's War Woman Goods on Etsy, and I have a Patreon. That's the Cryptid Huntress over on Patreon if you'd like to support me in whatever way. Okay. And also we do have a Patreon with Spaced Out Radio. That's called the Space Travelers Club. All right. So you guys show some love, go over there to the Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers Club and sign up for that as well. Okay, you guys, I have a fantastic guest tonight for us. I have my buddy, Long Island Bigfoot Mike, and he and I both spent the weekend separately researching Bigfoot. We're both Bigfoot boots on the ground field investigators, and I was out with my team here in Georgia this weekend. I just got back tonight, and he's up in New York, up on Long Island. So we're here to do a little update on our adventures this weekend. Don't forget that right after this show, After Hours has a fantastic program set up for us. So y'all go see them right after our show tonight. All right, y'all, let's get to our guest. Long Island Bigfoot Mike grew up in Long Island, New York. Between 2007 and 2011, Mike served in the Army and spent a year in Afghanistan. While the impact of what he experienced is something he works on healing every day, searching for Bigfoot brings Mike peace and relief from the effects of PTSD. Walking through a primary stretch of forest paramount to his research, known as Bubba's House, he became familiar with his surroundings for 5 years before he began documenting any activity. Uncertain of what he was actually experiencing, he took some time before he spoke out on his findings. Mike realized he was observing similar activity to what other researchers were reporting. He began documenting via video and photography, and his interactions were with Bigfoot and their families. He's also observed other entities and anomalies in the woods of Long Island and the Catskill Mountains. And I have actually spent some time with Mike up in New York researching Bigfoot myself. So please help me welcome to the show my buddy, Long Island Bigfoot Mike. What's up, LIB?
What's happening?
How you doing? Hey,
all right,
man, I think you and I have a couple of things in common. Yeah?
Yeah. I think
go ahead. What was that? I didn't sleep much this weekend, and I bet you didn't sleep a whole lot either, right?
No, you can't. You know, when you're in those like situations where you get that time to be out there like full time, you know, you got to take advantage of it. And then sometimes it just, you know, you can't really plan for sleep when the activity is just nonstop, right? So
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, I often look past the fact that we're not going to sleep much on the weekends, right? Because with my team, it's hit or miss. We're either going to go out there and it's going to be kind of chilled out. We're going to go out for a little bit. We don't have a lot of activity. So we go back to base camp and everybody goes to bed, right? Mm-hmm. Or it's off the chain. We're out all night and we're just having a good old time. And that was kind of the case this weekend. Okay. That was the case. I did so much hiking this weekend, and stalking cryptids. My body hurts. Okay. Like I'm sore. But yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Where I placed myself too this time, like I placed myself like really, really remote. And like, cause I was planning on just doing my own thing. And like, I put myself in this property where it was just like, you know, crazy activity. And like, that's where I plan on being. And then my team, you know, well, they're spread out all over. There's over a dozen of them now. And two of them were like, "You gotta meet us like now over here," and I'm like, I'm usually always over there. That's where I place myself, is near them. But it seemed like they were just like trying to find their feed, and like, all of a sudden there was like this, big breakthrough where they were able to they just got all this activity, and they found this huge waterfall, and like, it was just really cool. And yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun, and I'm sure when you get out there with the team, and like other people bounce things off you, and like it gets really exciting. Like it's really a lot of fun, because I'm always out there by myself. But when you're with other people, it's fun. It's fun.
Oh my gosh. It was fun. It's the best. And so you were out there with a bunch of people this weekend, huh? Like, did you had a group or a team?
No, like, so I placed myself where I was staying when I was by myself, but I went and met up with some of my team members, like, and followed up on some old stuff I used to do with what I call the Xena tribe, which is like, it was way off from where I was staying. So I did a lot by myself where I was at, and then I met up with the team, and then a couple of the guys, and then again another day I met up with them. On my way out, I was like, hey, like, I'm way past you, but on my way out, I'm coming back towards Long Island, so let's kind of meet at like somewhere like kind of near you that's on the way. So we went to like Minnewaska or something like that, state park, and let me tell you, that place was packed. It might as well have been the Bronx Zoo. Like, there was people everywhere. So I'm like, look, man, I'm like, I don't do this stuff. He's like, so what do you want to do? I said, I'm going to isolate myself so you can come, or you could get back in the car and go. And he's like, and he knew, knowing me, he knew what that meant. So we started basically rock climbing down ledges and all sorts of crap to get away from people. And we went into our own areas and found our own space.
Yeah.
There's
people. Yeah, I'm the same. You
there's
don't,
only so much you can do.
Yeah, where there's people, there's not a lot of Bigfoots. Okay. No, so you want to get out as far away from civilization as possible, in my case. And so that's what we do. Actually, this weekend, and all part of last week, my team was down in an area. Now it's an undisclosed location, but it's in the area called the Troop Herd Corridor here in Georgia. And it's a place that we go to pretty often, but it's pretty well known, Mike, for high strangeness.
Aliens, no?
Aliens, that's right. Aliens.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Alien abductions, Bigfoot, dogman sightings too. Okay, so we have dogman sightings and reports in the area, but it's mostly UFOs and alien abductions and Bigfoot sightings, and Bigfoots and aliens working with the military.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think I heard about it from when I was at Benning. I think that's when I was going to just say, right. I think that's when I heard about it, when I was at Fort Benning.
That's right. So for the audience, if you're not familiar with Georgia and Middle Georgia, we have a military base, an Army base called Fort Benning. And there's a lot of woods around this area, and it's really close to the Troop Herd Corridor. Okay. And so there's been some people associate that with these UFO reports and these sightings and the abductions, because the abductions, some of the people, I mean, I have a whole list of different reports of what happened in the Troop Herd Corridor. And there was a fellow named John C. Thompson, who is a pretty well-known UFO investigator. And I think he worked with MUFON. He wrote a book about all this and did a bunch of reporting. And he took reports of people saying that, I believe, a lot of people said that there were military people there with the gray aliens as these people woke up or were being abducted or in the abduction process on a table, whatever, the typical alien abduction scenario. Yeah.
I mean, Fort Benning is massive, and they have like every training under the sun there. Like, if there's a train, except for cold weather training, they literally have everything there. So I wouldn't doubt that, and like you said, the woods are so extensive. It's insane, like insane. And I think it's called the Chattahoochee, or maybe the Chattanooga or whatever.
Chattahoochee River.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. I mean, really prime, really, really prime. That's where I saw one of my. I think I seen my first Sasquatch was right outside Fort Benning.
That's
But
common.
they told me
Yeah.
it was a boar. The MPs told me it was a boar, and I just, what the hell was I gonna do? I didn't know any better. You know what I mean? I'm just this guy with a New York accent screaming outside the front gate at Fort Benning, and they're coming at me with guns because I stopped 100 feet of 100 yards away from the front gate in the middle of the night. You know what I mean? So they don't know what I'm doing out there. And I'm driving my buddy who's from Queens, New York, and he's just wasted. So he's just like laughing you know what I mean? And like, and they were like, "That's a boar. They get huge." Da 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 da. And it was doing that like spider crawl thing, and it was like figure eighting in and out of the bushes. Like, looking back now, it was a movement that's impossible. You know what I mean? It's really, no animal can make the movements that it was doing. It was like weaving in and out in a figure eight, like at a speed that was just, I mean, it made me stop the car and get out. You know what I mean? And just look at this thing, pointing and screaming, saying, "Do you see this?" So like, I mean, that's to the extent of how rare looking it was.
Wow, that's kind of terrifying. Well, we do have a lot of wild boars. We got hogs, like hogzillas and stuff, in South
Yeah.
Georgia. And so that's not uncommon, and that would be the go-to excuse or the go-to cover up for the Bigfoot down there. I mean, I have there's a gentleman that's part of my team, and we were talking about his encounter. He was either at Fort Stewart or Fort Benning. I can't remember. But it was one of here in South Georgia. Okay, somewhere. I'm actually in kind of northwest Georgia, but it was down in South Georgia, and he encountered a Bigfoot in the swamp while he was doing some like compass training or some kind of training out in the swamps.
Land nav.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Land nav. It's land
nav.
navigation.
That's right.
Yeah, land nav. It's basic land nav is like the only way I find my way out of a lot of places. You kind of, you know what direction you're going. You pick something you can see. You walk towards it. It seems so ridiculous, but you walk towards it, you stop, and you go again. You get your compass out. You know what direction you need to go in. You pick something else that you can see, and you walk at it. And it don't matter how rough that is. Don't get off that trail. Don't do nothing else. Don't get fancy. And eventually, you'll make it where you got to go. But
Eventually. Yeah, well, that's so important to know. That's really a skill that you got to have when you're out there doing Bigfoot field research. Yeah. Boo the Beagle. Thank you for that super sticker. We appreciate you at Spaced Out Radio. Thank you so much. Okay, so there's all sorts of things that are so important for us to know as field researchers, boots on the ground, when you're out in the field, survivalist training, first of all. If we're in that, just knowing how to navigate, land navigation is important. Knowing how to read a map, okay, and to have a map on you, and to read a compass, and tracking. Animal noises. Okay. Now I was going to bed, or I don't know if I was going to bed, but it was Friday night. And my son, this Friday night, my son, he saw his first Bigfoot Friday night. Okay. I had my son with me, and I allowed him to go out with me just Friday night, with two very seasoned Bigfooters. I had David Pardue and Don Tart with me. And we all had like night vision. I had night vision camera. David had a FLIR, and Don had like a super nice FLIR. Okay, like they both had nice FLIRs, but like Don's was like the creme de la creme, right? Yeah. And so my son, I was letting him look through my night vision and stuff, and we went down a trail, and we kind of veered off because we were hearing something and sent something over to the left, and we went and we ended up having an encounter. I'm going to say a potential encounter with a Bigfoot, but we're pretty sure that was a Bigfoot. It wasn't moving at all. And you know how they like this? They'll just stand there and they won't move. And,
yeah. It's the staring contest you'll never win. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, Dave, we sat there for a long time, and we were watching it, and my son was watching it. And I got to tell you, Mike, he never holds my hand. He's never held my hand since he was a little kid. he would not let go of my hand, and he was right beside me the entire time. And he looked at me at one point. He said, "Mom, this is terrifying." You know, I was like, "You're okay, kid." And he ended up having a blast. Okay, and he saw his first Bigfoot. David walked up to where this Bigfoot was, and it disappeared when he got
Yeah.
up to it.
Sounds
Yeah,
about right. Sounds
yeah,
about right.
yeah. But yeah, that was the night when I went to bed. When I was going to bed that night, I would check my phone, and you had sent me a video that night. And I never had phone service ever out there. And I ended up getting your message somehow. And I wrote you back. Tell me what happened to you on Friday night.
Friday night.
Friday, that was the screaming.
Yeah. So I, where I live at on land, like they mimic everything, right? I'm so used to them mimicking things, and like just whether it's cars or the sirens or cat fights or dogs barking, whatever. That's how they do it. They cover up. So on this particular occasion, that was my intent. Like I just kept putting it out there. I was like, I just want to hear you guys. Like I want to hear like that signature like wailing or screaming or whooping or whatever. So I placed myself in this remote place with activity. I kept putting myself down at the creek and going out there in the dark by myself and, whatever, like everything I needed to do. Right. So all of a sudden I hear this, like the whoops, whoop, whoop, and like, I'm like, and I knew it was them. And like, I don't know, there's a, when you're not in that moment and you hear it later, there's a million things you could say it was, but like, I felt it, right? I was like, oh my God, like I'm so excited, right? I know that's them out there, and like they're doing it. And I'm like, okay, cool. So that was kind of enough for me. So I doubled back, and there's like this porcupine running around, and like I'm like kind of like, whoa shit. Like I'm looking at this brand new tree break that was right in front of the barn I was staying in or whatever, right? And like there's this huge break, brand new, and I'm looking at it with my flashlight, and all of a sudden I'm like, there's a porcupine under there. So I'm like, oh, so I start backpedaling a little bit, and I turn around and I'm looking at this huge rock, and I'm standing on this rock, and I step on this rock, and there's this huge rock, and there's all these broken trees just ripped off, and they're brought in there. They're not from there. They're brought in there and just like laid up, pointing up on like this, like they're not touching, but they're all pointing up on the rock. And I'm like, oh, that kind of looks weird. And from that spot, all of a sudden, what you could perceive, I guess, as a screech owl or something, I mean, just belted out this scream, and like it reverbed in my chest, like, and then it was followed by like owl hooting, like, ooh, all that signature stuff. But that initial scream was really amazing. And then, again, you could say it was an owl probably if you listen to it now, but when you listen back, it's like it's loud on the audio, but on the video it's loud, but in person it was like stupid loud. It wasn't, an owl. And then as I was leaving, I heard the same thing again at like 8 a.m. on Saturday morning. I'm pulling out, and it's like the sun's up, and like, from like 10 feet in front of me somewhere, invisibly, there's nothing there, like this loud, like, and, it was really exciting for me. Really, really exciting for me. Yeah, so that's about it. I was pretty much happy with that just in general, but there was a lot going on, a lot.
Yeah. Well, it was really cool to get the context behind it, because it sounds a lot like barred owls, okay,
Right,
in the
right.
end. But in the very beginning, there's this really loud screech and a loud scream. And so I had to ask you, like, what was happening before this?
Well,
And,
that's right. That's
but,
what I
but
realized.
yeah,
Yeah, that's what I realized. I posted it as a short, and then I was like, people were like, that's an owl, or like this, and I'm like, all right. It looks like I'm just, out there for a minute, and like I filmed an owl. You know what I mean? So I'm like, let me just pull this back and like, let me reel it back in. You know what I mean? Because there's like, I don't, me, I don't do that. Like I would have been posting audio like that for years already. Like, I mean, I've I've captured audio like that for years, but I'm like, this is like one of those times where I know I wasn't, hearing an owl.
Yeah. Well, okay. So a lot of times when we're out in the field, if we hear a Bigfoot we hear another animal, we have to either take that at face value or think about the context of like what's going on, because Bigfoots do like to mimic and imitate other animals that are out there that are local and regional to the area. And sometimes some that aren't so local and regional to the area.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. You get that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Often?
Absolutely. Oh,
Yeah.
all the time. All the time. I mean, they mimic domestic animals here, Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Have you ever heard a Bigfoot speak English before?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Okay.
it sounds you ever heard you ever seen Finding Nemo?
Yes.
And Dory the fish Dory, when she's like, "Oh, I can speak whale," and she goes,
Yeah.
that's what I heard. It was trying to like speak English, but it sounded like Dory trying to speak whale. That's exactly what I heard. Like, I don't know what the hell it's saying, but
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That can be kind of jarring and kind of scary when you're out in the field. You're out in the woods. Did you?
I ran.
You ran?
Yeah.
You don't
Oh
run.
yeah. I didn't run far. I didn't run far, but my initial reaction was to haul ass. Yeah. Yeah. It scared me.
It scared you.
Scared me.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I'm not gonna front. Like, it's scared the
I know. Well, I like to say I won't run, but like I'm always ready to run if I have to, because you never know how you're going to react when you have like an alpha Bigfoot screaming at you as you're running out of the woods. Like they're territorial. Okay, so something else that happened to me on Friday night is that after we had the Bigfoot experience with my son there, we were walking back down the road, down the trail, and as we're walking there, I don't know why I started talking about the zombie that I remote viewed. Okay. This guy that like crawled out of the woods, and he was I had done a remote viewing target of a suspected skinwalker, but it turned out to be a zombie. Okay. Or something. And so we were talking about this case, and it was just a bad time, and it creeped all of us out. And and so we decided to walk back to base camp. And we radioed in to go back to base camp. And as we're walking, some kind of energy like blasted me from the woods. It's almost like something either ran up on me or something where I flinched because I could feel it. And it's almost like, I don't want to say I got zapped, but that's how some people do describe that, as getting zapped. It was electricity that went from my head down to my shoulder and over my hip, like over the side of my body, but just on that side of my body. And so that was, and as I did that, one of the gentlemen, his hearing aid got static in it at that exact same moment. He said his hearing aid had interference, is what he said.
Wow.
Isn't that weird? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so like the getting zapped thing, like I used to hear it all the time, right? Like all the time in the beginning, and like every time somebody would like say it to me or write it to me or whatever, I would get like this like almost like, I don't know, like this like nudge, like no, like that's like a negative term, like that's not what we do. And basically what they were saying was like, these humans like insist on pursuing us and coming around our energy where they don't belong. Like they come and they poke around our structures, which are packed with energy, and you guys aren't built for that. Or they stare at us too long, which, then like we're not doing anything intentionally. You guys just ain't built for this yet. And you got to like kind of ease your way in. And it's almost like a tolerance for anything, right? Like In the
That's
beginning, it
right.
knocks you on your ass, and then after a while, you just build a tolerance to it, whatever it may be, and that's just human nature. We have to, acclimate. Um,
Yeah.
so, I
Yeah,
mean, I
we do.
can't. Yeah, I can't say how it is for everybody and everything. I'm not going to take away from somebody else's experience, but I can. That's you know me. I talk from my experience, right? Because that's
Yeah.
all I have.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, this area that we were at this weekend, we're not there very often. I mean, we've researched this area a bit, but we're not. It's not like it's not one of the places I go all the time. Okay, and so, but I love going down. It's actually my new favorite spot. Okay, um, because we had so much activity this weekend, and we just had such a great time.
Yeah.
Um, but and that what I'm getting at is I don't feel like the Bigfoot's there, whatever's there, and there's a lot of Bigfoot activity there. They're not used to us yet. I don't think they're not used to me. They don't know me. They don't know my crew as well as maybe the ones up in North Georgia.
Yeah. Well, where the place you're going? Do a lot of people go in there in general, or no? Right?
Oh, hunters. No,
Okay.
there's
Yeah.
hunters. It's not like a campground or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's not. It's just a bunch of property, a bunch of land, and there's guys that go out there and go hunting on it. So we have to be very careful because there's hunters. There's like bow hunters out there right now, and stuff. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but like you gotta, you when you vibrate at that certain frequency, it's almost like seeing an orb to them. I'm sure. Like you guys stick out like sore thumbs amongst other humans. You know what I mean? Like I've said this to the she squatchers before, like because they like said they did Reiki one day and like they were doing Reiki on each other, and then they went out in the woods, and next thing you know, they seen a Bigfoot step out in the open. I said, yeah, you guys supercharged each other with all this like energy that most humans don't know about. And then, he probably poked his head out like, what the hell is this coming at me? You know what I mean? Like, what's, what's this beautiful energy of, like, and like, so like, it's almost like how you present yourself to them I always bring it back to like whale watching. You could drive a boat around the ocean all damn day and never find a whale. But those whales will find you if you do the right things. You know what I mean?
that's right. Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. And it's actually a good idea. Like what Don did, my buddy Don Tart. Somebody in the chat knows Don. I saw that comment in there. Don's such a great guy. He's from up in North Carolina. He's actually my friend. I don't know if I mentioned this on Spaced Out Radio or on my channel, but we were talking about Tim Peeler. Okay, the guy who was interviewed by a news station for seeing a Bigfoot in his backyard, I think, and he was talking about how I had long, beautiful hair, and I had 6 fingers on each hand. Super country guy, but just a great guy. He's friends with Don. Okay, and so Don was there when they were interviewing him for that soundbite. Okay, but anyways, but Don, as we're walking down the road, he actually felt the presence of Sasquatch there, and it's good to make to say, hey, we come in peace. We're not gonna hurt you.
Yeah.
We're just here. We're here to observe, right? We're
Yeah.
here to communicate, whatever we feel like doing that night.
Yeah. I totally agree. Totally
Yeah,
agree.
I
Yeah.
see you doing that.
Yeah. Intent and respect. Manifesting what you want. You know what I mean? Like, um, you can't just go out there greedily. Like that's why I find gifting is a good thing to do. Because there's a lot more in it than just putting an item out there. And whether you know it or not, when you're putting an item out there for Sasquatch, you're putting that intent out there, you're putting a respect out there. You're opening a line of communication. Like there's so many things that you're doing in that act of gifting. And uh, especially believing in the fact that something is going to reciprocate or at least, you know, take your item.
Yeah. Well, okay. A lot of people think that gifting is bad. I know Derek's been watching you all day. Okay, so Derek's your biggest cheerleader too. I bet. Right, Derek?
I thought I took the day. I thought I took the day off. I guess I didn't.
Oh my gosh.
So it
Oh
was
my
a
gosh, I know.
slow day for me.
Exactly. Okay, so so you think gifting is a good thing, and do you ever gift food? Because I
Mhm.
hear gifting food is not the best idea with Bigfoot.
They're not some animal that's gonna follow you home and like they don't even need food to get sustenance. So you're not you're not gonna feed an animal that's gonna keep coming back to you and get pissed off when you don't feed it no more. Like I hear that all the time, and it's to me it's derogatory. You know what I mean? Like
Oh yeah.
it, in my opinion, it is like you're downplaying what they are. You know what I mean? You're really like that's my opinion. I don't know. And then
Yeah,
again, you have to assume that these people know that they're talking about Sasquatch, right? Because what if you do feed, you put out food and then you get nasty results when you stop, but do these people really see the Sasquatch or is it just activity and they're assuming it's Sasquatch, right?
that's right. Yeah,
There's so
because
many
we
things
don't
out
know.
there.
It
Yeah,
could be
so many
feral
things.
people, right? It could be anything. It could be a possum, okay, or a raccoon that goes and gets it.
I'm saying.
Uh, yeah, that's why it's important to know your tracking, like have tracking skills, animal
Right.
tracking and human tracking, so you can tell the difference between a Bigfoot track and a human track, okay,
Even
or
yeah,
animal track.
and then even in the snow, in the sand, in the mud, know what those prints do. Like, you know what I mean? You know how many times I've seen somebody say that's a dog man and it's like it's a domestic dog print, but it's just in uh, in like if you're on an angle, if it's sand, like that makes a bank, which really makes you slide. Mud, spreads and then it hardens and it changes consistency. How old is the print? Like so many different things. Snowfall, things will fall off a branch up on top and land. You know what I mean? A perfect, like if there's snow sitting on top of a branch that's this big, and then that branch lets it go and it lands, and now it makes like what looks like a footprint. And you see what I'm saying, right? Like
Yeah,
there's so many different things that I noticed that are overlooked, and then and it's of course you want to believe, right? So that sometimes outweighs what's going on, and what's really going on. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, it's important to pay attention for sure.
it is. Speaking of what's really going on, uh, Simon the Likeable. I like that name. Why are they training with ETs? I'm assuming I'm kind of behind on the comments tonight. I always am. That's my MO. Um,
True story.
why would the military be training with the ETs? I mean, you were in the military. What do you think?
Uh, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It's it's a lot of stuff is on a need to know basis. And my
Right.
rank, I didn't need to know anything.
Exactly.
I was not. I didn't know about the Kandahar Giant till I got back from Kandahar.
So you were actually in Kandahar, and you'd never heard about the Kandahar Giant until you got back.
No,
Yeah.
no idea.
Well,
Yeah, till I
that's
got
just
back. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, let's get back to Bigfoot a little bit too, okay? Because I actually have some pictures that I'd love to show, and I know we have some pictures from you too. Let's look at some of the pictures from this weekend. And good night, Elena. I saw her. She's going to bed. Okay.
Yeah. Good night.
Let's pull up some of these pictures from this weekend. I only was able to upload a couple, like 3 of these pictures. Where's this?
That's ground level. Well, no, I shouldn't say ground level. That's that lake. So that lake is risen up high, but that's Minnewaska, I believe, state Minnewaska. So you
Okay.
see those mountains on the left side of the screen, like the
Uh-huh.
those. So we hiked that way and went to the top, and then that's where there's a lot of people on that ridge. So I started just scaling down down that stuff without
Oh my
without
gosh.
without ropes, and it was so bad. I
Oh
have
wow.
footage. I have footage of some of it.
Hey, but you're alive. What is that saying? It's like, but did you die? You're good.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
You survived. You survived. Okay, and then you have this beautiful waterfall. And now, if the viewers can see it, wait, which way am I going? I'm supposed to point this way.
Oh
Mine
yeah.
is like down there. There's a little white dot right there. If you guys, I don't know if you're on your cell phone. Okay,
There it is. There I am.
there's
Right in.
Mike.
Ding. Ding.
There's Mike with the waterfall. That was just beautiful. That looks like Bigfoot country.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's the Xena tribe area. And I had worked the front side of that place for a year, and then I handed it off to the team, and they worked their way around, piece by piece by piece. And it's not a huge area. It was taking us months to, make go 100 yards, just off of respect. And this is the final, there's an emerald forest. They named it to the left, which actually goes way deeper than I've never been back there, but this is like the point I always wanted to get to.
Oh yeah.
And that's
beautiful.
why they were so excited to tell me that they finally made it that far, and they wanted me to come over there. And then when I got there, they were like, we got there. Like, they let us come back without any resistance. So that's me embracing that rock is like out there in the water, and the waterfall rushes down, and there's rushing water coming by, and there's like this much rock above water level. So it kind of looks like I'm sitting on the water, which in essence I'm getting kind of wet, but I didn't care. I couldn't wait to get in there.
Oh my God. I bet that felt so nice and so relaxing. And now I have one other picture. I think this is the same spot. It's just another picture, similar. Right.
Yeah.
It's a little different. Okay, that's little Mike.
It's just a wider frame.
Mike. Right.
So basically it's a video. I put the tripod down there and just videoed me walking in and whatever. So I just took a little screenshot.
Hey, C Duke in the chat said we should put a red circle around Mike so we can see him.
The red circle slayers.
Oh my God. C Duke's got jokes tonight. I love that. Okay. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. No red circles over here, y'all. Okay. We try not to do that if we can help it. But okay, so that's beautiful. All right, so before we go tonight, we still got like half a show to do, of course, but I have a few pictures I wanted to show because we had a lot of really cool tree. It could be potentially Bigfoot activity where we were, considering that we did have a lot of Bigfoot activity going on. But I'll just show the audience some of these pictures. Okay, so this is one of the forest rows where we were. Okay, and this was us like where we were hiking in. And I do have a picture with some of the crew here. Hold on, if I can get my computer to show it. This is us. There's little man. Okay, you can only see him from behind.
That's so cool.
But so we were coming up on trees that were in X formations and stuff, right? Now, I get a lot of people sending me pictures like this, y'all. Okay. And so I put these in here, and I'm not saying these are Bigfoot related at all. Because a lot of times when you get an X structure, the trees are a little bit bigger. But they don't have to be. But we did not mark this as being like a Bigfoot structure. Okay. But this is something that potentially, this is the kind of thing that people send me all the time. And we were able to kind of debunk it as like, well, the trees could have just gone together like that, naturally. It could be natural. Okay. But there were other structures out there that we could not explain. Okay. We really could not explain. And with this one right here, like we had a lot of trees that were and with Bigfoot, a lot of times the tree structures would be like higher up because Bigfoots are so big. This one was down like my face level. Okay. But the only odd thing about this was that we could not find the source to the bottom of that tree, the trunk right there where it was broken off. We could not find it. That tree was not local to that area. We looked everywhere for it. We couldn't find it. We couldn't find where it came from. Yeah. So that made that suspicious a little bit. So it could have been Bigfoot related. Okay.
A lot of times I look to see it, like, even if it is something natural, I look to see, like, is there anything different, like, at a place that's, like, connected to it, like bend and tucks into it, like from another tree or, like, things like that. Or, like, is there another tree snapped like that?
Like this.
Like that, yes.
Like that. Yeah. So that's exactly where I was going
Like
with
that.
this, because we found an arch, and this is very common too for Bigfoot activity. Now, we're not saying we were not definitively saying this was a Bigfoot structure, okay? But it was also suspicious as well. Okay, we are all skeptical as well, okay? And we err on the side of being skeptical about tree structures unless they're just super anomalous, okay? Now, this one is interesting because it was a super tall tree, but potentially it could have either been stuck there. And okay, now that's Tony Green. He's been on our show. He's a friend to Spaced Out Radio. He's been on my show. He's one of my teammates, and he's like 6'4" or something. He's super tall. All right, and that's how big that tree structure was. Like the arch, it's really really tall, and he's standing right under it. Okay. Now the tip of the tree, the top of it is tucked underneath this tree that looks like it fell right there. All right.
Mhm.
Now, is it natural or did a Bigfoot do it? I don't know. We couldn't tell, but it was beautiful, and it was very much out of place. There were none others like this out there in the woods. But it was really cool, and it was funny because Tony was the guinea pig. He was like, I'll walk through it in case it's a portal. He was like, I'll walk through it. And when he came out the other side, when he turned around and he came out, we were like, hey, Tony, well, gosh, it's been 20 years since we've seen you. My son was like, I'm Jessica's I'm Ben's grandson or something. I don't know what he said. We were making like the biggest jokes about it. Like we'd come from, he came from the past and we were in the future, and it was funny. But yeah, it was really cool. So that was some of the activity that we had there. Now, to say it's Bigfoot, I can't definitively say these tree structures were made by a Bigfoot, but they could have been. Okay.
So do you see that tree on the ground? That
The
one
big
that is
one?
tucked
Yeah.
under?
Uh-huh.
That one, was that a dead tree?
Yes, it had fallen.
Okay, so
Yeah,
I'm
it
gonna
had
tell
fallen
you.
over.
I'll tell you what I know.
Okay.
So it's not. It doesn't have roots anymore, right? So it's out of its roots. So
Right.
it has no more energy. It has no more life. They will take these big trees. That will take. So if they couldn't bend that one, they would have snapped one, which still keeps it alive. But they take them and bend them, and they tuck them under there, and it brings energy back into it. It brings light back into it. It's like conduit. So that's my understanding. But I mean, I'll let everyone be skeptical to what they want. But I could just tell you what I know. Yeah.
Right. No, well, and I feel like it could have been a Bigfoot then, considering we'd had Bigfoots in those trees all weekend. Okay. All weekend there was a lot of Bigfoot activity out there. Okay. So
I love the way they line up. Like it almost looks like they're
yeah.
like natural. Like I don't know. They're just so the symmetry of the whole forest looks awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool. And those were pine trees, I believe. A lot of them were pine trees, but they're different types of trees, of course, but they were very young, as though they had done some cutting through there and some replanting. But those were very like skinny, tall trees.
Mm.
But with the first structure that we came to with the X, there were so many trees that were down around it. You can see where a storm had come through and knocked a bunch of trees down, is what it looked like. So that potentially could have been like just a storm knocking a tree over, But like I said, we like to be skeptical about it, but it's also full of Bigfoots out there. Okay. I didn't walk through any portals, I don't think, but I did have fun. Bigfoots. Yeah, Bigfoots. Yeah, we had our southern Bigfoots down here. You had your New York Bigfoots up there. Bigfoots. I'm so tired. I'm like mumbling my words tonight.
I know.
I apologize to the audience.
That's why I used a ring light tonight to keep myself awake. Like
that's why you look so fresh.
I use a ring light. I was like, if I don't blind myself, I'm gonna...
Oh my gosh. Yes, brown dwarf has a great comment. Structure activity has a language that I don't understand, but we recognize it when we see it. And that's totally right. I mean, it was undeniable seeing like those. They they were either Bigfoot or natural, but they did okay. That I got to tell you that archway that did not seem natural to me. It really did. It didn't. Um, yeah, but you recognize it when you see it, and that's why we were joking around, but we kind of weren't joking too about it being potentially
No,
like a portal
yeah,
opening,
sure,
because
sure,
they do mark their territory with these tree structures.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. If this X is rocking, don't come a knocking. Okay. Just kidding.
The bad jokes come out with the
I know.
with the drowsiness. The show must
Oh
go
my
on.
gosh.
We
Show
still need
goes
to head
on.
off. We still
I
need to head off
know.
the trails.
We're so off the trails, but it's great. But we were off the trails this weekend, and yeah. So beyond that, the screaming that you heard and the owls.
Mhm.
I mean, what owls are native to that area? Are you familiar with like which kind of owls are out there? Like barred owls, barn owls, screech owls. You mentioned.
Yeah, up in the Catskills, like we're yeah, pretty much all the above are pretty much out there. Um, it's just a matter of there was owls out there. Don't get me wrong. There was definitely a screech owl out there and probably a barred owl out there. Like, cause I mean, I at one point I heard one. It was dead silent. And I heard him like right before it took off. It hooted or whatever, and then another one did, and then I heard it like, you could you could hear its wings flapping through the brush. So I'm not ignorant to the fact that they're out there and that they're doing their thing, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know how many different breeds there are, but there's a good amount. There's a good amount.
Nice. Awesome. Okay. We have a question. Have you ever played back their conversation to them? Like, have you ever recorded something and played it back? I haven't.
Um, no, I don't think so. I've sat out and played like music for them. I've played like other like researchers videos and stuff. Like I've sat out there and just like played them and like or like oh I want to watch like I catch up on people's stuff today and like I'll go sit out in what I think a known hotspot or like my areas and I'll literally just sit out there and watch them there and like so that's about as far as I've gone with it. But I don't really have that much audio. You know what I mean? Like a Mike Patterson, right? Like that's he's got endless amount of audio, but that's his go-to thing is recorders and I don't think people understand how much goes into audio. You have to leave them out and then listen and listen and listen and listen and it's not easy to listen to a recorder because you have to literally dedicate if you left it out for 8 hours, you have to dedicate 8 hours of you can't have nothing else going on. You know what I mean? You can't get distracted. If you do hear something, you got to like annotate it and at least jot down the timestamp and then it's a very tedious process. So I really respect the hell out of anybody who does audio like that.
Oh yeah. It would be really cool to take like the Sierra sounds by Ron Moorhead
I've done
and
I've
his
done that.
yeah. Take that. You've done that. Did you get any
Yeah, I've done
results
that.
from that?
No. But
No
again, it's
results.
like, but I don't really get. I shouldn't say no results, but it wasn't like audio back. You know what I mean? But around here, I've only done it around here, and they don't. It's too risky for them to vocalize like that. You know what I mean? It's just they'd stick out like a sore thumb, and I think that's why they mimic sounds that we're familiar with. Because if it's a sound you hear every day, you're not gonna you're not a red flag isn't gonna go up, and you're not gonna be like, oh, that's out of place. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. This is an interesting comment. Derek says WHI has seen new video of Bigfoot, or who has seen, I guess it's who has seen video of Bigfoot with a door on the side of the mountain rock in Oregon. That's interesting. I don't know. I've seen a picture of what looks like a Bigfoot sitting in a chair. It's like a petrified giant. overlooking the side of a mountain, which is kind of cool. So
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
This AI stuff has got, yeah, I don't know. It's out of control. But a
Oh yeah,
video can't be AI probably. So I don't even know what WHI is, but I'll check.
it's who he meant to write who seen.
Oh, who is he? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'll look for it.
Oh my gosh.
It sounds interesting.
I haven't seen it. I have not seen it. Yes, Derek keeps the interesting comments. I love it. Thank you for being here, Derek.
Oh, he's so good. Yeah, he's so interactive, like everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Well, what else happened this weekend? Anything else exciting happened while you were out there? And also, how often are you out there, Mike? Is it every day? I've seemed to see you on the road every single day
Mm-hmm.
going Bigfooting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Every day. Either every day or every night. Yeah.
Boots on the ground.
Yeah. Yeah. It's what I do. You know what I mean? Like
That's right.
yeah, it's what I do. Like I don't look at it like, like if you try to sit me down for the podcast stuff, like I'll get out podcasted every single time because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But like that's not my bread and butter. You know what I mean? Like
Right. I get you.
I'm an outdoors guy, so
Yeah. Yeah, you are. Yeah, Forrest Louie, thank you for that super sticker, by the way. Thank you.
As far as this weekend, did I touch on that guy? Did I touch on that guy that was like living off grid next to me?
No.
Okay, so there's this guy, and it's a very remote area. This road, and I'm looking for the address I'm going to, and the neighbor, and the neighbors are far apart. But this guy, huge teepee in the front, whatever, I don't know, not front yard, but like this huge teepee. It's probably 25 feet tall, smoke coming out of the top of it. Probably like a 25-foot like circumference. Huge flower, hippie bus with like a built-up top on it, and there's smoke coming out of that thing. And he lives in a bus, and then so he carves, chainsaw carves different things, and he's
Logs.
just he's just out there living off grid. He lives in like this like I have some footage of it. I stopped him. I said, hey, I had to meet you. And then I asked him, I said, do you mind if I video some of this? And he was like, oh, absolutely not. This guy seemed like he would be the most, like, I mean, he was dressed in overalls and like a lumberjack flannel and like, beard longer than, whatever. Like looked like a total hippie, lived like a total hippie. Gunner, relax, buddy. And I'm thinking he's just like, like some kind of like woodsman and like has never seen society ever. And he's like, oh yeah, you could video. And I was like, yeah, I'm like, oh, like, do you mind if I like, do you have a website or anything? Like, I'll plug you. I'm like, I have a little bit of following or whatever on YouTube. He's like, oh yeah, no problem. He's like, I'm on Instagram and Facebook. He's like, I think I got like 25,000 followers. I'm like, what? Like, it was amazing to me like that. But he's you guys could look him up. He's called Hoppy Quick. On Instagram, I think Hoppy Quick. I looked him up, but he puts his carvings up there and stuff. Really, really cool guy. Really, really cool guy. And I'll post the video too. But he just some of the stuff you find by just adventuring is like it's not always the Bigfoot stuff, and sometimes it's just the scenery or different places and different people and or history. You know what I mean? Just there's so much stuff out there. And until you put yourself out there and just kind of do it, I don't know. You know what I mean, right? Like there's
I know what you mean.
Yeah, like it's like going adventuring. It's not just going Bigfooting. It's like it's going on an adventure, I hear it all the time. People are like, I don't know how you do it. You just pick a place on a map and you just go. And I'm like, that's what I do. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how you do what you do, but it's just. That's kind of my comfort zone. I can do that better than I can go into Walmart and like shop for what I need, because that's uncomfortable to me.
I was just at Walmart tonight. I had to put on my protective energy bubble when I went in there tonight, but we won't go there on that one. I'd much rather be out in the forest lurking around, stalking cryptids. Okay, that's my thing. I mean, and I got to tell you guys before we go tonight, I got to say, like, what we did
Yes.
last night was so cool. I was out there. We hiked so far into the woods last night. Me and the team. My kids stayed back with another kid at base camp with all the other guys, and well protected, by the way. But I went out with a bunch of I guess there were 6 of us actually. And we had a little mission. We went out. I hiked for miles. Okay, it felt like miles at least, into the darkness, and with no flashlight, no headlamps, no nothing. And we were out there trying to flush out cryptids, and to see whatever we could get to head back towards our base camp. So everybody, we just had this wonderful plan last night. We executed it well, and we did have a little bit of activity last night. So, anyways. We've come to the end of the hour. We'll have to talk about this more in the future sometime, Mike. Thank you so much for coming on the show with me tonight and sharing your story and talking with me about mine.
Thank you. Of course, thank you. Yeah. I always enjoy it.
Thank you. You know, we need to highlight these field researchers and the boots on the ground research. We need to highlight this a little bit more because it's the bread and butter of what everybody's talking about. Okay, it's the people going out there and getting the evidence and getting chased off by Bigfoots and Dogman that really make the world go round. This cryptid community, at least, right?
I hear you. I do.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, buddy, I see your dog.
Yeah.
Man, he needs his 15 minutes there, his 15 seconds. I love it. Mike, where can people find you? Tell us your YouTube channel.
War Woman Goods on Etsy and the Cryptid Huntress. I don't plug myself. I can't do it.
Okay, I'll do it. You guys go subscribe to Long Island Bigfoot on YouTube, please, and you will not be disappointed. He is so boots on the ground. It is wild and crazy, man. I love it. And so yeah, Mike, thank you so much for being my guest tonight. You're the best, and we always have a good time. All right, Mike. I think he's kind of frozen. Mike, thank you for being here. I'm going to say good night. I'll talk to you later. Oh, there he is. There you go. You came back. All right, Mike. Thank you for being here. We'll see you next time. Okay.
All right.
See ya. All right, y'all. That was awesome. Oh my gosh. You guys, please don't forget to go over to After Hours right after we're done here tonight. I will see you guys next time on Off the Trails. Also, please come hang out with me this week on my channel, The Cryptid Huntress, Wednesday, 1 p.m. I'm going to have a really great show on a glitch in the matrix for us, and then Thursday at 8 p.m. All right, you guys, I hope y'all enjoyed this show as much as I did tonight. And I will see y'all next time. Everybody have a great night. Y'all stay safe out there. And if you see any Bigfoot sign and evidence, y'all send it to me. I'd love to see it. Y'all have a great night. Bye.